BO2.
Okay, I forgot to start recording. So let's do the following. Let me see if I can help somehow. I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going to enable uh, for you to be able to share. And who is not working? David?
Me, David. Yep.
Okay, David,
I'm not working either.
can you share
Yep.
your screen?
Yes, I can. 1 second. Should be an option. Record, share. Okay.
Share screen is a green button, something like that.
Yep. And then this is what I get.
Okay, so let
That's
me.
what I'm
And
getting to.
it goes here first,
I'm going
and
to.
then I go here.
Try it in Chrome. Do you have Chrome?
Yeah.
Yeah,
1 second.
that's what mine's coming up in, and it doesn't work.
Sorry, 1 second. Let me share again.
Because mine's working through Chrome. I don't know if it makes a difference.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Not here. It's
Not
not working for
here.
me in Chrome.
Advance.
Yeah, I got that, and I hit.
Hold down.
Oh.
No, no, hold down to advance. Go back. Go advance.
Yeah, I
And
click
then,
there, and then I click there, and I get that.
and that is coming from, yeah, that's because the VPN.
Yeah.
Maybe the only difference is what VPN client are you using?
Global
Global
Protect.
Protect.
Okay, is any way to define on the configuration that for internet access use the local connection and not the VPN connection?
Um, I think with these computers, they don't allow you to connect to the internet without going through Global
Yeah.
Protect first.
What could be the difference then?
Yeah.
What could be the difference? Uh, do you have a way to install a root certificate in your computer?
I I don't know.
Hey,
Are, are,
David.
are them Windows?
Yeah, it's Windows. David, do you have a machine name or IP that I can give Ricky?
Yeah, like my device name, PC name.
Yeah.
Yeah, PCN-TWK -82.
Okay. 1 sec. Yours is not working either, Trent.
No, it's not.
Okay. Do you have your PC name?
Yeah, it's PC TFCU -113.
Okay. I'm just giving them to Ricky here. He may be allowing us access without the certificate.
There should be a reason why uh, one of you is able to do it and the other two no.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Unless
Well, do you have a older laptop, maybe, Jamie? Maybe.
I got it new in February.
Okay.
Ricky's looking at it. He says it's a cert error. Would be really nice if the cert was trusted, considering it's coming from the internet. So he's looking into it. He can put it in an exception for the IP for both of your computers.
Okay.
Okay,
He said standby.
okay. Yeah, the reason the certificate is self-signed is because uh, first we want to make sure that the connection is secure. But if we have to provide us a trusted certificate for each one of the unit, there is a cost associated to that, and most likely the customer
Mm.
at the end is not going to use that certificate.
Right.
They're going to install their own.
Yeah,
So it
Paul
does.
mentioned to me yesterday that we might need to get Ricky involved because he wasn't sure if it would work or not. So Ricky's
Oh, okay,
Ricky's helping. So
okay,
we should be good periodically or shortly.
okay.
Yeah, that thing that we were talking about earlier, about downloading some software, and we probably won't be able to do that, will we? Earlier today, this morning,
You mean the
because
software that he went through?
yeah,
I think you already have it.
okay.
I believe it might be what you sent David or David sent you.
Um,
Well, those files, but didn't you say
we can
like when you
extract
click
the
on it and
files, but I don't think we can actually
Do the,
execute it.
do the
Like,
install. Yeah, you probably don't have local admin rights.
no?
So you or not able to expand that file?
They can open it and
Oh,
unzip it, but they can't install the software in the file. And that's a
yeah.
local admin issue.
I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure I'll probably get blocked. So
Oh.
yeah,
I try. I can try one right now, and we can see what happens.
Try to
yeah.
install the
Oh, okay.
microzip.
Okay.
Excuse me.
It'll prompt you for admin access.
Yeah.
Admin.
Security unapproved file.
Oh, so Truliant is very strict.
Yes.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
very strict.
Oh my goodness.
It is the banking industry though, so it's probably not a
Yeah,
bad thing.
yeah, I didn't anticipate that. Sorry about that.
We're working through it.
Okay.
He's going to try to put the two IPs for David and Trent in as an exception in the firewall.
How do I get out of here? I just put okay. This file is being blocked. Executing. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can stop sharing if you want. Okay, so let me go back to share screen.
He's committing the changes in the firewall, so it should be able to try it again soon.
Okay. Let's take a couple minutes. Let me grab a cup of coffee.
Okay.
I'm about to make me a cup of coffee. Sounds really good.
Okay, try it again, David. Ernesto,
Yeah,
is this the only server we'll be accessing? That's the URL you gave us?
yeah, but it's a different public IP address for each one of you.
Okay, but
So
that is that IP will be static throughout the training
that is correct.
for each of us. Okay, yeah.
That is correct. Am I sharing my screen?
Yep.
Okay. I'll be back. Let me look for the coffee.
Okay. Oh, and he walked right back into his background. That was cool.
He did.
Are you there, David?
Yeah, I just got
Did it
back.
work?
My coffee's heating up. Let me try.
Okay.
I'll try one more time. Exit out of Chrome completely. Open it back up. Let me copy that link into Chrome. Advanced. Proceed. Yes, I am in. Admin. Was it admin with a capital A or lowercase?
Lower.
Do you remember? Lower?
Lower.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Then the password should be there on in your square.
Yes, I see it. I'm gonna copy paste it. It says initial. Do we got to change it?
No,
Probably not.
it didn't prompt me to change it.
All right, I'm in. I got administration, upgrade, logging, and tools.
Do you want to try yours again, Trent? And hopefully
I'll be
Ricky's
back.
committed those
Yeah.
changes.
Sure. Yeah, let me try it here. Yeah, I'm still I'm going in through Chrome, of course, and I'm getting the certificate error still.
Okay, let me see if he's got yours an exception on you.
Okay.
Do they fix it?
David's is working. We're working on Trent's now to get it working.
Okay.
I will be right back.
Let's see. I got a thing here about would you like to allow Ricky to connect to my computer? I guess that'd be yes. That's when he said he was working on it, right?
Can you go back to that, Trent, to the browser and open that URL and leave the error on the screen?
Oh,
Ricky's going to try to see what the error is.
yeah. Let me see here. Let's see. Let me move this over.
Are we all back?
Yeah, I'm back. This is Trent.
Okay.
This is David.
Okay, Dave. Jamie? Okay, so Jamie is not back. Okay, let's continue then. So this second lab in reality is not a hands-on lab because um, one is I think you are going to have problems installing the startup tool, and I don't put too much emphasis on the startup tool because it hides a lot of the real stuff behind the configuration. So, but I'm going to explain what the startup tool is and how it is used for. Okay, so this lab we are going to learn what is a startup tool. The startup tool is kind of a wizard application that we created to simplify typical deployments, most likely SIP trunking deployments. Okay, where if you remember at the beginning we said one of the roles of the SBC is to resolve interoperability issues. Most of those interoperability depends on who's the carrier and what is the vendor of my PBX. Who's the vendor of my PBX? Okay, so the tool tries to make that easy. In order to obtain the startup tool, it is already on the uh, share information folder that I provided you, but also you can get the startup tool directly from the portal account. Okay, so if you go to the portal account, you're going to see a section dedicated to the startup tool where you have the download the new startup tool. And the third option is the startup tool guide, which is also included on the file. Uh, there is an installation process to install the startup tool, but again, we are not going to do that test because we don't need it for the remaining labs. Okay, so let me show. Once you install the startup tool, let me show how it looks like and how it is used. Or let me use a startup tool live. So once you have the startup installed and you invoke that application, this is what is going to show up. It's going to show you uh, a very simple interface showing a pull down menu to select between two products. Um, and don't ask me why, because I don't know. There are two products here. One is BorderNet and the other one is Engage SIParator. BorderNet is a product that we had many years ago, but I don't understand why our developers hasn't take it out from the tool. I don't think we even have any BorderNet device installed on the market since several years ago. In any case, you're going to select Engage SIParator and then click Next. And once you click Next, you're going to see this interface. Okay, this interface allows you to um, uh, follow a set of steps like a wizard in order to create a configuration file that can be pushed or loaded into the ingate that you are configuring. So there are the initial screen basically is going to ask you information about how to reach the unit in case you want to do the configuration online, or what type of configuration are you trying to do. So for instance, Um, you have two options here, just to change the IP address of the unit or to change or update configuration of the unit. Okay, so if you have a configuration already, okay, you can select the IP address of the unit you want to connect to, put the administration password, and that's all what you need in order to connect to the unit. If you see here the options that can be enabled or disabled for configuration, the first one says configure remote SIP connectivity. Okay, if you enable this, means that the configuration of the engage, the use case of the engage will include access, meaning remote users. If you don't select this one, that section will be skipped. Also, you can enable or disable if you want to use the tool to configure SIP trunks. You can also select the option to back up the created configuration or not. Then the very last says this tool remembers the password if you want to for the tool to remember the password. And this one is one that you can use to create the configuration offline, meaning you are not going to connect to the unit, but you are going to create the configuration totally offline. If you select this one, you can see that the IP information to connect to the unit disappears. If I disable this one, then you have to add the connection information for the unit. So I'm going to use the create configuration without connecting, just to show all the other options. So once I have selected, I'm going to create a configuration for remote SIP connectivity and also SIP trunking. I'm going to select next. Let me see if it comes up. Okay. Okay, once you select next, you're gonna see a screen that has 4 tags. The first tag is network topology, where you basically are going to uh, define how the networking uh, configuration will look like. The next section is IPPBX, where you're going to define which PBX and how to connect to the PBX. The next section is the next tag is ITSP, where you are going to define all the SIP trunking related information. And then the very last tag is the one where you can upload the configuration for further installation on the Engage. So network topology, for instance, you select the product type, and here you have the topologies that we have been talking about. For instance, I can say it's going to be a DMZ LAN, okay, and then it shows the inside interface, ETH0, the outside interface, ETH1, okay. There is a button here to swap the interfaces because depending on how do you want this defined, you may decide that the ETH0 is the outside and the ETH1 is the inside. Okay, so if you can see, if I on-click the swap, you see here ETH1. If I on-click, it's going to change to ETH0. Okay, ETH1 or ETH0 is swapping the interfaces. Next one is, okay, you are going to use this to define the IP address of ETH1, for instance, which is my inside. And here, for ETH0, you have the option to select the HCP or unselect the HCP. Okay? And if you unselect the HCP, then you have to put the IP, the static IP addresses. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to put it in a different subnet. Okay, and this is going to be like this. Okay, because DMC, because ETS0 is the outside interface, then you're gonna need to define a default gateway here. Here you enable or not what is called the NATing firewall. Let's say, for instance, that your in-gate is sitting behind a firewall in a DMZ zone. So the in-gate itself doesn't have a public IP address, but there is a public IP address mapped from the firewall to the in-gate for external connectivity. If that is the case, then you need to enable the NATing firewall and input here, introduce here, the public IP address that will be used by the in-gate on the external side. It's not a public IP address assigned to the physical external interface because it is in a DMZ, but it's the public IP address that will be showing up for any traffic going out of the in-gate to the internet. Also, you are going to define here who are your DNS servers, okay? And once you complete this section, you can just click on the next one. And now, on the IP PBX section, you can pull down and select which PBX, which brand or vendor PBX are you going to connect. For instance, if we say Mytel, My Voice MX1, or let's say ShoreTel, ShoreGear, for instance, this selection, pull down selection that you're doing here, is automatically selecting what interoperability parameters should I set up in order to connect correctly with the PBX, in this case with the ShoreGear switch. Here you can say what is the IP address of the PBX, where the PBX is located. Let's say, for instance, this one here. And here you can select or not to use an FQDN instead of an IP address. So the next section is going to be the carrier. And here you have a pull-down menu also, where you can select several different service providers. Twilio, for instance. Okay, just to select one. And Twilio provides you a domain. So based on the Twilio information, this may be G0, GXX, etc. So it doesn't matter at this point, for example. But here you're going to provide the domain that Twilio has given on the specifications of their connection. Okay, here you have other parameters to configure, like the carrier may have assigned a set of DIDs. Usually they provide you ranges. So here you can say my DIDs are going to be 954, 866, 10, 10, okay, and will be 20 DIDs. So starting on this DID, 20 DIDs will be assigned. Okay, so you can say here, for instance, let's say 1000, meaning that the first DID will be assigned to the extension 1000. The next DID, the 1011, will be 1001, and so on. This is to make the matching for a direct inward dialing, in case you have it. So if the carrier needs authentication, you can enable the authentication here and define the user authentication name and password, etc., based on the specifications provided by the carrier. So once you have done the network configuration, IPPBX connection, and SIP trunk connection, then you can go to the global, to the upload configuration, and you can just say, I'm going to use, for format for the CLI file, the configuration file, 6.0.0, meaning 6.xx. And you can say create. Okay. And that is going to create a file that is going to go to your downloads in gate test configuration, save. Okay. And that should be enough to have the file. Let's go and look for the downloads. Okay, and this is the file. Okay, so I forgot to put this CLI. Okay, this is the file that we just created with the configuration tool. So now, if I go, and again, we are not going to do this for the lab, but if I go to my lab unit, and hold on one second. Okay, if I go to the unit that I'm doing the configuration, let's say, for instance, using the startup tool, I can just go to the administration. I can go to the section for loading a CLI file. I can choose the file.
Incoming call from 864-527-9602 for Ernesto Casas.
Hold on.
Incoming call from 864-527-9.
I'm sorry, guys. Somebody calling me from anywhere. Okay, if I go to my downloads, where are my downloads? Downloads, where is it? Over here. Okay, and I load this. So once you have the CLI file that was created by the startup tool, you can just go to the administration, save and load configuration, go to the CLI command section, choose the file, and load the file. Once you load the file, I was expecting to get some errors because that is not matching the real configuration in my unit. But at this point, you should have all the configuration load, not applied, but you can then apply. So I'm going to revert the changes here because I don't want to mess it up. Anytime you make a change on the unit that hasn't been applied, you can always come here and you have a button here that says abort all edits, okay, which is just reverse back instead of applying the configuration. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time with the startup tool because it's not the main purpose of the training. So here on the materials, you are going to have a replication of what I just explained. Okay. Okay, and we already got this 15 minutes break. So now let's move on and let's go to the getting more familiar with the interface. Some of the steps that I'm going to mention right now has been already done, but we are missing some intermediate steps. Okay, so now uh, we already did the addition of the second interface, enabling the second interface, and adding the ETH1 on the ingate, right? And there is a section that I mentioned before, but I didn't explain what it is, that is called networks and computers. This section here is a section that is dedicated to assign names to a specific IPs, groups of IPs or ranges of IPs. And those names are going to be used later on during the configuration. So it's an important part of the configuration because it's going to give you some of the base infrastructure to build a comprehensive configuration. So let me go and go to the real interface of the test, and this is what you should be also doing in your lab equipment. So I'm going back to networks, okay, and you see this tag here that is called networks and computers, okay. So I'm going to start designating names to some specific IPs, group of IPs of IP ranges. So let me start by creating a name that I'm going to call it LAN, just to give that name to the subnet associated to my internal interface, my LAN. Remember on the topology DMZ LAN, that is going to be my LAN. So my LAN is going to be 10.0.1.0 to 10.0.12.55. So you see here, the first number, the first IP is a lower limit, and the last IP is the upper limit. So you are saying, I'm going to call LAN every time I refer to the LAN, I'm referring to any IP in this range. Okay? And why I selected this one? Because if I go to interface status and you see your ETH1, your ETH1 is an IP address on 10.0.1 network with a 24 bits mask. Okay? So any IP address on my LAN is going to have is going to be on that subnet. Okay, and I'm going to say this is on the ETH1 side, on the external side. Okay, I'm going to create another name that is going to be called, let's call it, let me see how is it on the, okay, it's going to be called PBX, that from, if I go back some slides, okay, you see this is my PBX, and my PBX is located at 10.0.1.114. That's the IP address of my PBX, is this interface over here. Okay, so I'm going to call PBX 10.0.1.114. I'm not going to put any upper limit because it's a single IP. I'm going to say this is on my ETH1 side. I'm going to create another interface, another name that I will call it, let me go back to the slide. Okay, I'm going to call it 1, which means the external network. I'm going to say is any IP okay, any IP is just the range from 0000 to 255, 255, 255, 255. And it's going to be on my outside, on the ETH0. Okay, so any IP in coming from or landing or reaching on my ETH0 will be considered a 1 IP. Okay, so now we need to add an additional name that is going to be associated to the carrier. the service provider that is giving us the SIP trunk. In our case, for the lab, we have selected to use Twilio. I'm going to call it Twilio. But Twilio, in order to define which IP addresses Twilio can be sending traffic from, that's an information that that the carrier must provide you. The carrier must say, those are the IP addresses I can send you traffic from. And those are the IP addresses where we can send you media from. Okay, so that information is available on the Twilio website and also on the Twilio provisioning information they sent me when I created the trunks. So I've been hiding those numbers here because I want for you to do a quick exercise here. So I need to define the Twilio IP address ranges, okay, that I will be naming as a Twilio traffic or identifying as a Twilio traffic. And in order to do so, there is a table here that shows you the information that Twilio provided me. And Twilio said, Mr. Customer, I can send you signaling from any of these IP addresses depending on which nodes are you using to connect to, meaning connect to their services. Okay, they have a node that is, they call it North America, Virginia, North America, Oregon, Europe, Ireland, Europe, Frankfurt, South America, Sao Paulo, etc., etc. And all of these IP addresses are signaling, SIP signaling. Okay, and also they give you or they give us the sets of IP addresses where the media can come from. Okay, for our exercise, and based that all the engages for the labs are located in North America, okay, we will use only the IP addresses for signaling of North America and only the IP addresses for media from North America. I know there is no way to get traffic from the other IPs because we are not hosting the SBC in any of the other regions. The question here is, how can I summarize those ranges of IPs, IP addresses and ranges, just adding 3 lines in the networks and computers section? So here, I will need only 3 lines to cover all these IPs. That's a networking question. Okay.
We were just going to do the IPs under media with a slash 29, 20, 30.
Well, that is not totally correct. So let's, but you are correctly oriented. Let me give you some tips here. So we see the North American media can come from 54.172.60.0/23, which in reality means that can come from 54.172.60.0 up to 54.172.61.255, right? That's the 23.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but I also notice that that range includes the North America signaling Virginia. You see these 3 IP addresses here? 54.172.60 to 63. Okay, all those 4 IP addresses are
Or in
also
that
part
slash 23. Yeah.
are part of the slash 23. Then, if you see North America, Oregon, it happens exactly the same. It is a slash 24, but that one includes the signaling from Oregon, 51.0.1.2.3. They are part of this slash 24 subnet, right? So meaning that this subnet here and this subnet here already takes care of the Virginia and Oregon signaling. So the only one we need to add is the 34, 203.250.0. So just adding this line, and this line should be enough. But now, the question is 54.172. Okay, so let me just go to my interface. Let me just make it smaller here. Okay, so if you want to have one name and that name includes more than one range, okay, you can click on the plus sign, okay, and it's going to add a second line, or plus sign and you have a third line. So now I have Twilio with 3 different lines, okay, and I want to create, the first line is going to cover 54.172.60.0 slash 23, and that is 54.172.60.0 to 54.172.61.255, right?
Yes.
Okay, now the next one is going to be 54 dot 244 dot 51 dot 0 to 54 244 dot 51 dot 255, and the third one would be then 34 dot 203 dot 250 dot 0 to 34 dot 203 dot 251 to 255. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the only piece we have missing here is which interface is going to be associated. It's going to be on the external side.
E0.
Correct. So now I can just save this. Okay. And I have all the IP addresses that I need. Red ribbon, apply configuration. Okay. There is something that I didn't mention before, and I want to take the opportunity to explain. Every time I make a change, you see that I jump from here to there, I click the red ribbon, and then it asks me something, and I click again. So let me explain what is the logic behind. Every time you make a change on the configuration, you see on the basic administration tag, here there is, what is it? Table log, okay. Okay, in the administration, save and configuration, there is this section here, okay, that it has by default selected show messages about unapplied changes on every page. So that means that no matter where you are navigating, if there are changes made that hasn't been applied, it will always show the red ribbon. Okay. If you by any chance select the second option here, you will not see the red ribbon, only you go to this administration save and load configuration page. And if you select never, then you will never see the red ribbon, so you are not sure if a change has been made and not applied yet. So my preference is to have on every page as it is by default. But now, when you make a change, okay, uh, there is kind of a sequence of steps. If I change, let's say, for instance, let me just go for a second to the configuration. Oh, oh, okay, I'm clicking on the wrong button. Hold on one second. Okay, let me go to the. It's refreshing. Okay, let's say that I go to basic configuration, and I just as an example to change the name, I change the name. So you see that nothing has happened so far. Okay, but if I uh, click save, that is going to be modified on the preliminary configuration, not on the running configuration. You can click save, or you can click on any other navigation button and does exactly the same. So sometimes you're gonna see me to go down and save, or sometimes I'm gonna skip doing the save and then I click any other button and it's doing the save by default. Okay, so you don't need to click the save, you need just to move to a different tag. Okay, so now there is an option here that says test run and apply configuration, and this is a very powerful or very smart design that was done by our developers. They said, well, what happens if you are doing configuration and you are stepping on your own foot? In other words, let's say that you are changing some of your network configuration and you do something that makes you to lose the contact with the unit. That's a very normal situation. I have seen that many times. So, for instance, if I go to access control, okay, and uh, I change, let's say I don't support HTTPS, but only HTTP in the from anywhere, and I try to save this. Okay, or no client is allowed to connect to HTTPS. So let's say that I'm going to delete HTTPS. Okay, I made a weird configuration here. Now I'm allowing only HTTP access from anywhere, etc., etc. But I'm surfing in HTTPS. So if I go and click the red ribbon and I apply configuration, okay, I expect to receive another screen for me to apply, and it just freeze, and it's freezing because I step in my own foot. I disable HTTPS, so I cannot access HTTPS here. It's not responding, but you have a test run and apply configuration of 30 seconds. So what the engage does is every time I apply a configuration to my running configuration, I do it temporarily. Okay, now it came back because, okay, you see it came back, asked me for apply, and it says there is no run configuration in progress. Okay, which means that he reversed. Once the 30 seconds go through, if it doesn't receive a confirmation before that, it automatically reverses the configuration of where it was.
Hmm.
So that will make sure that you never step in your own foot. Okay? Do you
Yep.
follow? Okay. So
Yep.
so that configuration was applied, didn't work, and was reversed back. So now I can just abort all edits because I was making a mess. And that is very good. I haven't seen any single case of a customer saying I totally lost connection to the in-game when I was changing configuration. That cannot happen because the in-game protects itself and doesn't allow you to make permanent a configuration that doesn't allow you to access. Okay, so going back to where we were, so we already have the network and computers names configured. Okay, so now the next step, we are getting prepared to enable SIP traffic, and the first step we are going to do once we are ready to enable SIP traffic is to set up the gate to allow you to use soft phones to connect to the PBX. Okay, so we are going to enable the remote access extensions. Okay, so we already did the change for the name of the gate. That was part of our previous steps on the exercise. Uh, um, if you see the default configuration, okay, you have the policy defined that the gate will never reply to pings, okay, but in our case we are going to enable because we're going to need that for troubleshooting later on. So we want the gate to be able to respond to pings, and also we want to add an additional DNS server. So the gate by default, it came with DNS configured as the IP address notified or informed via DHCP by the ETS0. So you see here, this dynamic field means that if you don't select any interface, then you have to assign an IP address here. But if you select an interface, the value for the DNS server will be requested from the DHCP server from ETH0. Okay. So what we are going to do here is to add the Google DNS has another DNS server. Okay, 8.8.8.8. And also we are going to interchange the priority. So this first field number means priority in terms of who is queried first. So the ingate will always check first the DNS provided by Amazon, and secondly, will check the DNS server from Google. So I want to swap this order to 2 and 1. So once you made this change, let me just save, red ribbon, apply configuration. Okay, and save configuration. Okay, so that's what we needed to do here. So Google is going to be the first. The internal AWS is going to be the second. We already uh, enabled the ping responding. Okay, let's start now setting up the remote users. Okay, I'll show how this remote. So here we are going to learn about remote connectivity, routing DNS override, which is a feature that you need for remote users, SIP signal import, SIP server monitoring, and NAT SIParator. Those are the things that we will need to configure. Okay. The final goal is to configure the SIParator, as explained before, configure H extension. So you are going to install and configure your phones, and you're going to be able to test calls between extensions. I'm going to provide you some testing numbers. Okay, so going back to our original diagram, what are we doing right now? We are trying to enable in this remote office, which is your home office or wherever you are located right now, to enable phones to register to the PBX through the ingate. The ingate is going to be your border element for all purposes of security, um, filtering, etc. Okay, and the PBX is going to think that the phones are local because the IP address where those phones are registered from will be shown as the ingate IP address. So that's what we are trying to do. In order to do that, there is two things that need to be done. There is many things that need to be done. So the first thing is we're going to start defining some routing rules. Okay, and let me go here. Okay, and go back to the main administration interface. I mentioned before that there are three different tags for SIP. One is associated to the SIP service description. SIP service description means things like, for example, do I want to enable SIP? Yes, I want to enable SIP. Okay, if I want to enable SIP, which ports the ingate will use for SIP? Okay, it's going to use 5060. Okay, it's going to accept on 5060 either UDP or TCP. Okay.
Do you want us to follow
Yeah.
configuring ours this way, or just wait for
Yes.
the lab?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can follow me.
Okay.
Okay, let me slow down a little bit. Trying to catch up.
I'll give you some time.
Yeah, I only have one monitor right now, so it's a little hard for me to go back and forth.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay, so SIP services. Enable SIP or
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to enable SIP module.
Okay.
Okay. And now in this section you define how SIP will work. Okay. So there is a section here that is called SIP signal imports. On the SIP signal import, you can create as many ports as you want. Okay. By default, there is one port already defined and active, which is the 5060, which is the default SIP port. Okay. Then you have a transport protocol that you have to select. By default, UDP and TCP are selected. So leave it intercept, and the remaining is just a comment. The second line shows TLS, port 5061, but it's not active. And we are going to leave it not active because we are going to enable TLS in the exercise tomorrow and I think on Tuesday. Okay, on this page, this is one thing that we need to do. Okay, enable SIP module and just confirm that you have active 5060 for UDP and TCP. The next section says SIP media port range, and you're going to leave it by default. Those are the default values for the media ports used for RTP. Okay, and the next section, the next subsection is public IP address for NATed SIParator. This is a SIParator that is NATed, right? And it's NATed because if I go to my networks and I see interface status, I know that my ETH0 is my external interface, but the IP address is 10.0.0.43. But the ingate is not in that IP address from the external world point of view because I can reach it in gxx separator.ingatelabs.com. So if I, for instance, ping to gxx separator.ingatelabs.com, I can see this reply to pinging is being replied by the ingate. But the IP address shown is 54.45.124.50. Okay, So that is my real IP address. So the in-gate is not behind AWS firewall. So that means that I need to go to my SIP services, and here 5245 52.45.124.50. Okay, gonna save. And this is the NATed IP address of the in-gate. Okay, you can do the same. It's gonna be a different IP address because you have a different domain. If you want to discover the domain, just ping to your domain, ping g01separator.engagelabs.com or g02 or g03, and you're gonna get the IP address. And that IP address must be entered as the public IP address for the NATed separator.
Okay. Can you show how to do that again? 1 second.
To find the IP address?
Yeah.
Okay. To find the in-gate IP address, okay, you can just ping from your computer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you can ping to your domain. And which group number are you, David?
3.
Okay, so you can ping to go3separator.engagelabs.com. Like here, ping go3
Go3 separator.
Engagelabs.
Separator.
Okay, here's your IP. Your IP 52.87.52.82.
87. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so this IP address should be entered here on the public IP address for NATed separator.
I got a timeout on mine. I must have typed in the wrong ping here.
No, maybe you forgot to. You remember here in the configuration, you forgot to enable. Did you enable reply to ping?
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
And yeah.
And is that change applied?
I did I did a change in apply earlier after this was changed.
So you don't have red.
Um,
You don't have red ribbon.
I don't have what was it again?
The red ribbon on top like this.
No, I got a when I tried doing a change
Okay.
a second ago,
What is your group number?
you mean the G01?
G01.
Oh, maybe I said G01, G01.
Yeah, it's responding. Yeah, it's responding. 54, 164, 31, 176.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet I typed something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. I did a GO instead of G0.
Okay.
Had to reach up a little higher on the keyboard.
Okay.
So, okay, and then I go to, where was this at again? The SIP services.
In SIP services, in basic settings, down here.
Okay. Yeah. 54. Dot.
For those changes, Ernesto, that I've made, when I go to save the config, it tells me my SIP traffic filtering and SIP traffic
Yeah.
local
Same.
register.
That,
Okay.
that's normal. That's normal. I'll show you why.
Okay. So we're going to fix that before we
Yeah.
apply the changes. Okay.
Yeah. So if I go and apply changes here, okay, you're gonna get this error.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't the lone wolf.
No, that's normal, and
Okay.
that is expected, and allows me to explain some
Gotcha.
other things. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now this is interesting because anytime you make a mistake or there is something that is not there is something that I love of a separator. Separator keeps the integrity of the whole configuration always in good state. If you want to break the the configuration doing something that it doesn't make any sense, it's going to tell you. For instance, he's telling here, okay, you enable SIP traffic, okay, but the SIP traffic filtering rules that I have doesn't make sense if you are enabling SIP traffic, okay. So, and also it shows you, it points you to where the problem is. So if I click on SIP traffic filtering here, it's going to take me directly to where the problem is. And it says, please add sender IP filter rule. Change the default policy for SIP request and or add a local SIP domain. Current configuration will not process any SIP request. What it's saying, okay, you are enabling traffic but with the current configuration of my filtering policies, there is no way for me to process any SIP traffic. Why? Because there is a sender IP filter rules, okay, that doesn't have any policy defined, and it says that by default it will only accept local traffic, and that is wrong. Because if you want only to accept local traffic, what is going to happen with the traffic that is coming from the internet? You need to define a rule. Okay, so let's keep it local only here, and let me add a policy here. I'm going to add a policy saying, for instance, if traffic comes from the PBX, I will process all. If traffic comes from Twilio, I will process all. Okay? Okay, and also I can be even more strict, like anything else, just reject. Okay? Now, we are going to have, this is going to solve the issue, the error. Okay? Uh, if you can just red ribbon apply, and now it's going to be fine. So now there is a problem, and I don't know if you uh, realize it already. In the SIP traffic filtering, you're saying I'm going only to accept and process traffic coming from the PBX and Twilio. Okay, and that could be good enough when you're talking about trunking. But if you're talking about remote users and that you cannot anticipate where the remote user is coming from, and it's going to be blocked because you are not considering any other IP addresses here. Okay, so there is several different ways to resolve this problem. One is, well, I'm going by default process all no matter where it comes from, but that opens a security issue. Okay, that you can block using some other tools. But in any case, uh, if you reject all and you try to register your remote phone, soft phone, that is not going to happen because you are not allowing SIP processing from uh, your the IP address of the phone. The IP address of the phone is going to be, if you are using a soft phone at home, it's going to be the public IP address of your home. Okay, so unless you create on the networks, for instance, I can create a network here called offices, and I can put the public IP address of my office, then I should be able to add a policy allowing my office also to process all. Uh, but in any case, for the purpose of this training, what we can do is we can add another rule here saying that anything that comes from the one will be also processed. Okay, so that opens the door for potential attacks. So we are going to learn in the security session how to close those doors. Okay, did you follow me up to this point?
Mhm.
Okay, So now, the other component that we need to enable,
I'm sorry. With the SIP traffic, did we change anything besides process all local only?
uh, yeah, over here you have two options for the lab. One is adding the one interface
Uh-huh.
to process all, or you can just enable process all here.
Okay.
Okay. Even if you enable process all here, none of these policies make any sense. You can just
Right.
take
Okay.
them out. Okay.
Okay. I just added it.
Okay. Okay. So now uh, I'm going to stay on under SIP traffic, which is the second tag where we were doing the filtering. Okay. And I want to take you to this tag here. Oh, let me go back 1 second. Let me go to SIP services. Okay. So we did already the basic configuration. We assigned the port. We defined the NATed IP address. Okay. We are not going to take any signaling encryption, no media encryption. Those two will be used in the security lab. Media transcoding, we are not going to do any media transcoding. This interoperability section, usually default values are good enough, but here is where you are going to somehow adapt or fix interoperability issues with the PBX or the carrier. But we are not going to touch this. So then you have sessions and media, and we're going to learn more about sessions and media later. And this is the one that I wanted to point out right now. So because we are going to have remote users or extensions, I need to enable the ingate to be able to resolve the NAT traversal issues coming from the far end. Okay, so in other words, on SIP services, basic settings here, we are solving any NATing issues on the near end, on the ingate. But now, any remote device connecting to the PBX via the ingate most likely will be sitting behind a NATing firewall. Okay. In order to do that, in order to resolve that remote NAT traversal issue, we need to come to the remote SIP connectivity and enable remote NAT traversal. Okay, once we enable remote NAT traversal, okay, we're gonna leave all the values by default. Okay, we don't need to change anything. I'm going to mention some things about other options here later on, but at this point, default values is enough. 90% of the cases, just the default values is good enough. Okay, so we enable the remote SIP connectivity, the remote NAT traversal. Now, going back to traffic, SIP traffic, there is one tag here that is called routing. Okay, and the routing, under the routing, there are several options to make specific functionalities when you are routing SIP traffic. But the only one I need right now for remote users is something that is called DNS override. And DNS override, what it does is, if you are familiar with a DNS server, it's kind of a private DNS server able to resolve SRV records, service records. Okay, that's exactly what it is. So what we're going to do here is where when you are trying to do the configuration of the remote user, let's say a soft phone, or let's say a Mitel phone, or a Yelling phone, or whatever SIP device you are using, you are going to make that phone to point for registration and proxy purposes to the ingate. The phone will believe that the PBX he is referring to is the ingate. The ingate is going to take care from there and route everything to the PBX. Okay, so in order to do that, what we are going to do is any SIP traffic. Okay, the ingate, where is the ingate located? is located in your domain, right? So we just realized that when you ping to your domain, you get the response from the ingate, but it shows like coming from the public IP address on the firewall. So what I can say here then is anything that goes to my gxx ingatelabs.com, uh, gxx, sorry, gxx SIParator dot ingatelabs.com, okay, will be forwarded to who? To the PBX, right? So the ingate is acting as the proxy to forward the traffic to the final destination. I know the final destination is the PBX, okay? And I'm going to match whatever traffic is landing on the ingate looking to the domain that is on the request URI of the SIP request. When you have a SIP request, you remember that the first line shows the method and then shows the request URI. So the request URI should show the domain. So any SIP invite or register coming from the phone should say, for instance, invite 1020 at g01 separator.ingate.com, .ingatelabs.com. So when that SIP request lands on the ingate is going to look to in the request URI and look for this domain. And if that domain matches, it's going to send that traffic to my PBX. Okay, that's the PBX IP address based on the diagrams we showed at the beginning of the training. And also, I'm going to send it to the PBX port 5060 because I know the PBX use port 5060 for SIP. And I'm also going to modify the request URI. In other words, if they receive an invite to 1010 at g01 separator.ingatelabs.com, that is going to be converted to invite 1010 at 10.0.1.114. Sorry. Okay. So this is the DNS override for SIP requests. So any SIP request that lands on the engage with this domain will be automatically forwarded to this IP address, this port, on UDP, this transport, and modifying the request URI. Okay, so in the case of each one of your labs, the domain instead of GXX, which is mine, will be G01, G02, G03. Okay, the PBX is the same for everyone, and that would be all. Okay, so there is a lot of more potential here, but I mean, this table works exactly like a DNS SRV record table. So you can create one domain with multiple destinations. You can load balance. You can set up failover functionality, etc., etc. But the simplistic way is this. This is what we are going to do. The SBC is acting as a proxy and is routing anything that arrives to the domain will be routed to the PBX.
And I was going to ask if we could go back to network and computers so I can see the IP address for the lower and upper limit of the last Twilio.
Yes. This one?
Yes. Okay, 60, 60. Oh, I have it all wrong. Okay. Okay, 54 dot. Yeah, I wish I had 2 monitors.
Yeah, it's not easy with one monitor. I have three.
Yeah.
I have three. I have
Oh,
three here.
I'm
And
jealous.
sometimes I get even I need more. Okay,
Uh,
so let me go back to the SIP traffic routing and just refresh what I said. Okay, so the DNS override table is going to be used to support the remote users and reroute any SIP request coming from remote users directed to the PBX. Okay, and that is going to be done via the domain matching.
Mm, mm,
Okay,
okay.
okay. So let me go
And
back
what
to
is
the.
that
Go ahead.
that field there? The modify request URI. What is that again? In I guess in networking terms,
This one here.
or what's that do? Yeah.
What it
What's that
does,
do?
what it does is, let me go back to one of the slides that can help me explain.
Okay.
Let's go back to one of the beginning. I just want to show you. Let me see where I have one. Okay, here. Okay, this is a SIP request. Okay,
Okay.
it's an invite. Okay,
Yeah.
you see here request line invite SIP column number at uh, host. Okay, this is an IP address. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So now let's assume for a moment that this is an invite coming from one of the remote users. Okay, and what is going to happen is the remote user extension is going to send the invite, and the request URI, which is the request line, will show invite SIP column, the number the person dialed at, and here will be the domain. It's going to say G01 separator.engagelabs.com. That's how it's going to look like.
Oh,
So
okay.
so the engage is going to look the request and say, okay, I'm getting a request invite, okay, and I can see the domain they are sending the traffic to is in my DNS override table, okay, because it's going to match
Okay.
the name that comes here instead of the 216.82, 255, 202 is going to show here G01 separator.engagelabs.com. The engage
Mm-hmm.
is going to say, okay, that is a domain that I know who they are, who he is, because I have it in my DNS override table.
Okay.
But my DNS override table tells me that if I see any request coming to that domain, send it to this place.
Okay.
So now this invite, this G01 separator.engagelabs.com, on the
Mm-hmm.
invite that is now being forwarded to the PBX will change. We're going to replace that domain by the IP address of the PBX. So
Okay.
the invite going to the PBX will look like invite zip colon the number dial at 10.0.1.114.
Okay.
That is going to be replaced. That is what
Okay.
this
Mm-hmm.
modify request URI means.
Okay.
If I don't do this, the invite will land on the PBX, but it's gonna say zip colon number dial at the domain G01 blah 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 blah. But maybe the PBX doesn't recognize that domain.
But it will recognize the IP address.
It will recognize the IP address because it's his own IP address.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So the DNS name or IP address, that's not the separator IP address. That's the PBX IP address.
The one
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
being replaced, yes.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
you're saying is
Yeah.
anytime you get a request with this domain, send it
Yep.
to this IP address and replace the domain with this IP address.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
what that last instruction of and replace the domain with the IP address is what you're saying here.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, so now okay, so that's what we did here. Okay, there is one more thing that I didn't mention, but I want to explain that more detail uh, after later, which is the SIP routing order. So leave that as a default, but when we um, do the labs for dial plans, I'm going to explain this better. Okay, so we already did the enabling the SIP module. We double check the 5060 port and enable for UDP and TCP. We already did the NATing conversion, and there is one more thing. Okay, I forgot to apply this. Okay, there is one more thing. Okay, the ingate here on the SIP services configuration on the basic settings, you are going to find a section here that is called SIP servers to monitor. Okay, and SIP servers to monitor is a tool that the ingate uses in order to keep monitoring any 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 known SIP destination to confirm if that destination is alive. In other words, let's say that the PBX is down. Okay, so if the PBX is down and somebody is sending an invite coming from the remote extension, landing on the gate, and the gate sending it to the PBX is not going to respond, right? But the user experience will look like this. He dials the number, he gets dead air for very few seconds or a lot of seconds, and after a while he gets a fast busy. That's going to be the user experience. And the reason for that to happen is because the phone sends the invite is forwarded to the PBX doesn't respond, the phone then doesn't get any response, then it resends the invite again and again using the algorithm that we explained yesterday, okay, until time's out. And then just after timing out is when the user gets the fast busy, okay? So if instead of doing that, we say, okay, I know the PBX 10.1, 10.0.1.114 on port 5060, which is where the PBX is listening to SIP, okay, on UDP is a known destination that I want to know if it is up or is down, okay? So I'm going to monitor this destination. That means that if the PBX is down and some traffic arrives to the ingate to be forwarded to the PBX, the ingate will not even try to send the traffic to the PBX. It will immediately respond back saying fast busy, no route. So cost user experience is going to be totally different. He dials the number and gets the fast busy immediately. Okay? Which doesn't mean that it's good, but it's a totally different user experience, right? So it is important any known key component of your SIP infrastructure to be monitored. So we're going to keep monitoring this. The ingate is going to keep testing and monitoring the PBX if we do this. So I'm going to apply that last change. And I wanted to show you something. If I go now to my SIP traffic and I click on the status button, you are going to see that the PBX is up and running. It's being monitored and it's up and running. Okay. So at this point, we are almost ready to do the next major step. Okay, we are going to add a couple of additional filtering rules in the SIP traffic filtering. Okay, we already did this. The process all or whatever we did as the policies, we already did so. And there is one additional change on the filtering, which I want you to do, which is go to the preloaded route rules, and we're going to remove any preloaded route. And that is an anticipated problem that I know is going to happen. The SIP traffic filtering rules. A preloaded route rule. Let me explain first what is a preloaded route. Remember that the SIP requests, they came with a lot of headers. There is a header that is the name of the header is route. And those are preloaded routes, okay? Those routes are usually could be an indication of a potential attack, okay? Because somebody is loading preloaded routes to move your traffic in a different direction. So by default, the in-gate is configured to reject any traffic that has preloaded routes. Okay. I know one of the softphones we are going to use, which is the microsip, they use preloaded routes. So I know that the microsip phone won't work correctly. So what I want to do is instead of rejecting the traffic when there is a preloaded route, what I want to do is just to remove it. That header will be removed. And that's the only change I want you to do here. I'm going to make that change. Okay. Okay, we already did the traffic filtering. Okay. Okay, we already did the far end NAT traversal. We already enabled it. And now, at this point, we are ready to do the configuration for one soft phone. So now, I'm not sure what challenges we are going to have now to install the microchip. Okay. There is two things. The microchip can be, the application can be executed from the directory, the folder I send you, or can be downloaded from the website. You can even use the microchip download in a different computer if you have another computer that is not related with the company. Okay. So if you go to microchip.org downloads, here is the microchip softphone. Okay. It can be downloaded from here, and you can try to install it. Okay, I'm not going to install it because I have it already installed in my computer.
So we need to try to do that, you're asking?
Yes. Yes, I need you to install a soft phone. And the one that I selected is microsip, and I'm gonna explain you later why.
Still get that
Yeah,
same error.
block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't be able to install it without admin access to the machine.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't think we could.
oh, okay. So what can we do here? Okay. Do you have a soft phone? A soft phone? Do you have a cell phone?
Hmm.
Are
Hmm.
them limited by the company also?
I would say, but probably not for that. Not to, I don't. I think you can install apps.
Okay, there is an app. Uh, is Android?
I have
iPhone.
Apple.
iPhone.
Apple.
For
Okay.
iPhone. Yeah.
Okay. There is a Apple Store. Apple Store. Let me see.
I have Android. Um,
Okay, Android. Yeah, I'll tell you what to install
okay.
on the Android. It's gonna be the same app, but it's a kind of a little different name. So how do I search an app here? Uh,
I've got Dingtone, MoSip, PortSip, soft phone. When I search for microsip in the App Store,
no, look for GS Wave.
GS Wave. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, Let me say Apple GS
Okay, I
Wave.
have Dingtone and I have Wave. Make new friends.
Okay,
Wave
this one here.
invoicing.
GS Wave Lite. This one. You see my screen?
Yeah, Wave Light.
Yeah, mine's not connected to the app. Connecting to the App Store. Come on. Oh, here we go. It's coming up. Which one did you do?
Grand Stream Wave Light.
Oh, let me see.
Okay. In the
Oh, here it is. Grand Stream Wave Light. Does it matter if it's the regular one or the light one?
it
The
show
regular one might have to pay for.
It
yeah.
says get on both of them. I'll do the light one if that's if I want to keep everything on the same.
Let me see. Grand Stream Wave. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, Grand Stream Wave Lite.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one
Grand
that I
Stream
have
Wave Light.
installed. That's in an Android, and this is in App Store. Okay, that's the same application. Okay, so I don't know if we can fix the problem or find a way to install the microchip because I mean each one of you, if to have the whole lab experience, should be able to have two extensions to call from one to the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, soft phone
Mm-hmm.
on the computer and then the
That is
app on the
correct.
phone,
That is
cell
correct.
phone.
That is correct.
We're gonna have to talk to infrastructure and see if they can set up local admin rights, user rights. Let me
Yeah,
see who I can see who's on call.
yeah, or at least to find out if they can enable that application only. But anyway, so for the exercise purpose, we
Oh, here we
can test with a cell phone initially. Okay, and let me see if I have a way to show my. I think I have a way.
For that Grand Stream Wavelight, should I get that for the Android?
Yes.
I'm trying to get Ricky to approve the microsip 3.20.5.
Okay.
That way you won't have to have the app. Or will you still use the app for the call to call? For the calling each other? Or two-way call?
Yeah, we're gonna need to. Yes. I'm looking for my Connect phone. Let me see. Where's my Connect phone?
Let's see who's on call. JT.
Okay, let me see if I can just. Okay, I'm just trying to share my phone. Okay, that is my cell phone, and this is the GS Wave application. Okay, so I have many things already configured here. But in any case, uh, if you have the GS Wave, and it's very similar on the Android or the Apple Store, the iOS, any of them. So if you want to create an account, you go to SIP settings. Okay, go to SIP settings, account settings, and then you can create an account by adding. You can say plus, add an account. Okay, I already have reached my limit, so let me just remove one account. Let me just remove one account here. How can I delete that account? Just this. I should be able to remove it. Delete account. Okay, so when you add an account, you should select a SIP account. Okay, the account is going to be activated. The account name is whatever name you want to give it, like my testing account, just to give a name. Okay, the SIP server. SIP server is where the traffic is going to be sent to. And it's going to be, in my case, GXX SIParator. .ingaylabs.com. Okay, this is the zip server. The zip user ID is
Downloaded the app. Um,
which app?
the Grand Stream,
Okay, in your
my phone,
Apple,
Android.
Android. Okay, which is the one that I'm using here.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
So here you're gonna need to go back to your table, okay? And remember on the table, let me just show you. Okay, each one of you has an assigned extension numbers. Okay. For instance, Jamie
Mhm.
has extension 1111 and 1112. Okay. If I check Trent, he has 1011 and 1012. David has 1211 and 1212. Those are the extension numbers. So the authentication ID for the extension, for instance, using group 3 as an example, extension 1211 will have authorization ID will be 1211 and the password for authentication will be 1011 followed by 1NG43. That's what is explained here. Extension number followed by 1NG43, which is engaged with numbers.
I'm trying to find where you were with the GS wave, and I can't get to the right area.
Okay, you have to go. You mean on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a section here, settings.
Settings. Okay.
Okay, and there is a account settings here,
Okay.
and then there is a plus sign here.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
I'm there.
you
SIP
start,
account.
then you select SIP account.
Okay.
Okay, account name, you can assign a name, whatever you want.
Would just be my name.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Then SIP server here,
Okay.
and,
Subserver.
and here is going to be your domain. That
G
yeah, the G whatever
G03 SIParator
.com .ingatelabs
dot ingate.com.
.ingatelabs.com.
Oh, Ingate Labs. Okay.
Okay,
.com. Okay.
okay, and
User ID.
user ID will be your extension, the extension number you are registering,
So 1211.
1211.
Okay.
Okay, the SIP authentication ID is 1211 also.
Okay. 1211.
Okay, the password is going to be 12,
1211.
yeah,
1G.
one
NG.
G43.
1NG4T3. Voicemail user
You can leave it blank.
and display name.
It can be your name.
Okay.
And then
Oh, so,
after that, you have to click here on this corner
Okay.
to
Check.
accept.
Okay. I got it.
so
Okay,
let's see this. So the SIP user ID for me would be like 1011. The SIP authentication ID is
same.
1011 1NG, or is it
No,
still 1011?
it's still 1011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And then the password is
the,
the other
the
part.
correct, correct.
Okay. Okay. 1011 1NG 4T3. That is 10, 11. And then, so we don't do we need to put in the voicemail user ID and any of that, and then
No,
just skip that part? Okay.
you can skip the voicemail user ID, and if you want, you can put a display name, could be your name, and don't forget to click on the check mark to save the changes.
Okay.
Okay, so once you do that, okay, so you're going to, if your extension is registered correctly, you're going to see green light on the right of your extension.
Gotta.
If it's not showing green
No.
but red, it's not registered, right?
What's weird is like I have it's like a, I don't know, is that a blue dot to the left, and then I have a red dot, and then my testing account there. Maybe I did something wrong. Edit account.
You guys should be able to install microsip now.
Oh,
Okay.
you're fantastic, man. You solve everything.
Well, I have good help. Ricky's
Uh,
he's on standby for us to make sure this training goes well. So
we're gonna change his name. From now on, he's gonna be the hacker.
hacker. Yep. Well, he is our infosec guy, so he's I'm sure familiar with hackers.
Okay. I can imagine, yes.
But I'm not up. I got the 3.20.5 executable approved, but not the 3.20.7. So we can just use the 3.20.5.
Yes, that's fair enough.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
So if I try to do it again, I should be able to. Oh, yep. Okay. English. Agree. And do I just download all of it?
Yeah, it's like an 8 meg file, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well, it
what's
says
this
run
one?
at system startup. Probably don't want that.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Links association.
You can leave that.
Mine says
Okay.
block still. I wonder if I need to.
Yours is still blocked?
Yeah, so I'm at the microsip page. I'm trying to microsip -3.
And you are PCTFCU 113?
Yeah, PCT FCU -113.
Okay.
I'm doing the, wait a minute, am I doing the, on the PC now, or are we doing the microsip 3
Whichever.
or the microsip Lite?
Yeah,
No,
the one that came in the file that we downloaded.
The one we came in the file is not the light. But use the one that came on the file, because that's the one he got he got approved. He got approved.
Okay, yeah, let me go back to that one. Come on here. No. Okay.
So next two slides shows the configuration on the microsip and the configuration on the GS Wave. So because we are getting close to the hour.
Do you just want, Ernesto, do you just want to set up the actual SIP account for the micro SIP tomorrow?
Yeah, what I'm saying is even if you can try later on. I mean, the lab is open 24/7. So you have instructions on the SIP microsip and the GS Wave, and also there is if you get registered, then you can test course. You can dial *43 from any of the extensions, and you're gonna see an IVR that is an echo test. Okay, so you can hear an echo test saying this is an echo test, shows whatever you say, you're gonna have a feeling of whatever. So in any case, that yeah, you got it.
That one's working. That's the cell phone.
You got it, man.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
did you
Okay.
say on your on your cell phone, did you say that I mean, I still kind of have I don't know, it's weird that I have let's say they're a blue or green dot, and there's a red dot, and it says I named it my testing account. Is that what you all are getting?
Well, let me show in mine how it looks like. Where is it here? Okay, if I am at settings and account
Okay.
settings,
Yeah.
you should be able to see the extension you already, I mean the SIP account that you just created.
Yeah.
Like the five that I'm showing here is one of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And on the right side it shows a little dot.
Mine are all on the left.
Is on the left. Okay.
Yeah.
Is yours the apple?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the apple is a little different. I don't know. I don't have an
Yeah.
apple. Oh, I have an apple here. Let me see how it looks like in my Apple. Settings, account settings. Yeah, it shows on the left. Okay.
It's
And
like
it
a dot
show.
within a circle, and
Yeah,
then
the dot in the circle shows you if the account is active or not.
okay.
Okay. So
And
if
then
the
to the right of that, is there another like a red dot or something? Or
okay, if it is a red dot, means that it's not registered.
okay.
So registration is not happening. Okay.
I wonder what that.
So if registration is not happening, it could be several different things. One could be, let me go back here. Double
You
check
got it.
on the configuration that you are using the right SIP server, the G whatever team number SIParator.engagelabs.com. Make sure that you didn't misspell anything. The SIP user ID
Okay.
should be the extension number. The SIP authentication ID should be the extension number, and double check that you type in correctly the password. You should
Yeah.
need to type it in again.
Okay. So let's see, 1011 password,
It's
and then
10, 1011 and then 1 NG.
yeah. It was. Make sure I got that right. I had
And
like
then,
1011 1NG 4T3.
yeah, that should be.
Okay.
And then click on the check mark to save.
Yeah, I wonder. So I wonder if I did the SIP server name wrong. I got G01 SIPARATOR dot ingatelabs.com.
Yes.
That's correct.
Ingatelabs.com.
Okay.
Redo the password again. So it'd
Okay.
be 10111 NG 4T3.
Could be a
Check mark.
problem on your configuration. So if you
Yeah.
want, Trent, what you can do is share your screen, okay,
Okay.
and give me access to your SBC. Let me just stop sharing here.
Okay, we got the SIP client set up too. Or the desktop client.
Oh, the microsip?
Yeah.
And it's working?
Yep.
You test call from between the two extensions?
Not yet. No, it's a good idea. I did the star 4-3. Let's see.
Okay, okay. Should be able, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. One of them needs to be the 1111. The other one needs to be 1112. Then I messed that up.
It's
Yeah.
asking me to update now. Do I have to update it or no?
Say it again?
No, you don't have to update it, David.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not approved, so we can't update it.
Okay. I'm seeing your screen. If you want to share your, show me your Ingate.
Well, um, What for my? You talking about this
No, the in-gate.
on
The, the
on my cell
SBC.
phone?
No, the SBC, the session border controller, the
Oh,
web,
okay.
the web
Yeah,
GUI,
let me get that. Hang on a second.
the web GUI. Because
Mm,
I'm going to. Uh,
okay, you want this
okay,
then, and then me, and then
yeah, okay, okay. Let me request. I'm going to request you control. Oh, yeah, I cannot get control because you are not using the Zoom application. Anyway,
oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The problem is, let me just.
I can go to whatever screen you want me to and check that out.
Well, let me just do something. Hold on. You are Geo1, right? You are Geo1.
Yeah.
Did you change the password for your in-gate?
I don't think I did. I
Okay,
think I
so
still have the. You mean the admin password?
yeah, the main password still
Yeah, I think it's
the,
still the same.
the original one. Okay, let me just do something. Hold on 1 second. No worries, no worries, no worries.
I also didn't change the timeout on here. I was trying to go back in to find out where that was. So more than 5 minutes. Yeah. See,
Yeah,
let me log back in here.
no worries. Let me just do something here.
Copy.
That's under basic configuration access control. The
Oh, okay.
timeout. You can set it to
Oh,
800 under the web interface access settings.
is that right here?
Yeah, yeah,
28,000.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Save.
And let me. That.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm there. Let me just share my screen again and I'll show you something. It's going to be part of a kind of an anticipation to troubleshooting, right?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen now and I can see this is Geo1, this is Trends SBC. Okay, so now there is a section. I'm going to explain this in detail on one of the next sessions, okay? But I just wanted to quickly figure out if the phone is sending the registrar correctly to the in-gate. So uh, I'm going to select here only SIP debugging, and I'm going to clear my lock. I'm going to show only associated messages, and I'm going to look for registrar.
But
Uh,
oh yeah.
register, register. Okay, I don't see any register coming in. I don't see any register coming in. Okay. Okay, let me just check something here. Traffic, filtering, process all. This is fine. Oh, here. Okay, your one is on the external side.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if that is affecting. Okay, can you try the extension to uh, disable and enable again?
So to the activate and let's see, go edit account and hit the check mark maybe.
Yeah, there is an option. There is an option that says if you click on the extension, there is the first option says activate account. You
Yeah.
can you can they you know uncheck that, go back, and then enter again and enable again, activate the account again to see if the register is coming. Register. Yeah, there you go. You see?
Oh, there. I have the green light now
You have the green light
too.
now?
So
Okay,
yeah. Okay.
okay. So that worked. So
Oh.
the problem was this. Let me show you. Everybody can learn. So you created a name called one, and
Hmm.
you said one could be any IP address on the internal interface. You said here, okay? And that was wrong. It should be here on the external interface, right? So
Okay.
now if you go back to Ethernet
Right.
one for the WAN, and now you see the SIP traffic filtering, okay? Any registrar was coming from the on the ETH0. So this rule will never match. Then it will be rejected.
Okay.
Okay. Now once we fix that one is on ETH0, that resolves the problem because now it's going to match this policy and it's going to
Mhm.
process all.
Yeah. So the WAN, you're saying that would I had it on the internal, which is the one,
Correct.
and when we change it to external, which is the 0,
Correct.
then it was looking outward
Correct.
for that.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
that was a so I think we can just revisit all these extensions configuration tomorrow
Mhm.
and leave it at this point.
Okay.
I think we are good, but we're gonna double check tomorrow uh, to catch up on anyone is falling behind.
Okay.
Okay, guys,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, guys. So we'll get together back tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right.
Sounds great.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Right. Bye bye.